One episode rivals. The episode trope where the MC is rivals with the rival for one episode. If you want to know how to write this trope without messing up, whether this episode is a good fit for your story, and how to apply the 3-act story structure to it, then let's get to it. So, amongst the most common pitfalls, the first one I can think of is basing the rivalry on something that the MC wouldn't normally care about enough to have a rivalry about it. For example, if someone comes into my life and they're like better than me at football, I'll be like, sure, of course, and I'll go on with my day. But someone shows up in all yellow and they're like, yellow's my favorite color, and they're trying to like take my place as the yellow person in the group. This town ain't big enough for the two of us. And another thing to look out for is making the MC win. I'm not saying that it's wrong to do every time. I'm just saying that the episode trope that I have in mind would be teaching the character to not give so much importance to winning and stop tying their self-worth to it, right? So, if they win, they don't have to learn anything. Now, if you mean to teach your character believe in yourself, or you can win anything if you set your mind to it and you work hard, then sure, have them win. But for the specific version of this trope that I'll be talking about today, that wouldn't really work. Now, would your MC benefit from going on this journey? Let's see. The lesson that the character would learn by the end of the episode looks something like: there will always be people that are better than you at stuff, but that doesn't mean you're any less valuable. So, if your character is someone insecure, someone who places too much importance on how other people perceive them, someone who cares too much about the specific thing that they want to be the best at, someone who needs to learn that lesson, then they may fit well into this trope. And now, it's time to take a look at the 3-act story structure. For that, I'll be telling you a silly little story, so let's get to know the characters. First we got Tim, who, as I said, equates his self-worth with how good he is at a specific activity. We got his cousin, Cooler Tim, who's better at the activity. And we got Connie. She's Tim's friend, and he believes she's his friend only because she's impressed by how good he is at the activity. Okay, we ready? Now let's get to the story. Ever since Tim moved into the forest, things have been great. Back home, he was a nobody. Nothing about him was special or interesting, but here, he met a fairy, Connie, who was immediately in awe at how many pine cones he can put in his mouth at once. Ever since they met, Tim and Connie have been the bestest of friends. Setup. You know the thing that the MC and the rival will be rivals about? Whether it's being cool, being lovable, a specific skill, or whatever else, use the setup to establish that the thing is important to the character, even without the rival around. This thing is the stick the MC uses to measure their own self-worth. If you want, you can also show some backstory or hint at it, when exactly this thing became so important to the MC and why. Everything was fine until one day his cousin, Cooler Tim, came to visit. Cooler Tim had always been cooler than Tim. When they were kids, everybody liked him better. And Tim would love to leave that silly rivalry in the past, except Connie absolutely loves Cooler Tim. Is it because he's cooler, or is it because he can put twice as many pine cones in his mouth as Tim? Probably both. Inciting incident. The rival is introduced. The rival is effortlessly better than the MC at the thing. And all the stability and status that the MC has gained by being the best at the thing so far, the presence of the rival is threatening to take all of that away. And hey, this may not even be accurate, but it's the reality from the MC's point of view. Tim will not let Cooler Tim win so easily. He hasn't been putting pine cones in his mouth all these years for nothing. But he also can't let on how threatened he feels in his position. That would only be giving his cousin dissatisfaction and giving Connie another reason to choose his cousin. So, as casual as he can, Tim says, "Hey, Cooler Tim, wouldn't it be fun to do a competition of putting pine cones in our mouths? Just for fun." But Tim is determined to win as many pine cones as it takes. First half of the second act. The MC knows they need to retake their place, so they work harder than ever to surpass the rival on the hierarchy of who's better at the thing. Tim breaks his jaw in the contest, and even if that wouldn't have happened, it's clear that Cooler Tim would have had no issue winning anyways. Connie and Cooler Tim take Tim to the forest doctor, and the doctor says, "No more pine cones for you for 1 month. This is it." With no way to compete, Cooler Tim will now definitely conquer Connie's heart. Midpoint. Their plan of becoming better than the rival was never going to work in the first place. Now, the MC went too far and they look like they're trying too hard. They have embarrassed themselves. They can't go and keep trying anymore. Desperate, Tim knows that being honorable is no longer an option. If he wants to win, he'll have to go against his morals. So, he goes into the kitchen and gets the hot sauce. Now, he's upon all the pine cones. He'll drench the pine cones in hot sauce. That way, Cooler Tim will have to spit them out. It's the only way. Second half of the second act. If the MC can't rise up to the rival's level, they realize that the only option is to now bring the rival down to their level. They normally wouldn't do sabotage. This is the last restored option. Connie catches Tim right in the act. "I can explain," he says, but she understands everything. "You're trying to sabotage your cousin. You're corrupting the sacred act of putting pine cones in your mouth. I thought you were different," she says, and she runs off crying, probably to his cousin's comforting arms. Everything is lost. Now, Connie will for sure never like Tim better. So, he accepts defeat. He packs up all his stuff and leaves. He can no longer live in the forest. Dark moment. The sabotage attempt is uncovered and the truth is out. This is the worst case scenario for the MC because it's basically a confirmation that the rival will always be better than them. Now the world knows. Because if that weren't the case, then the MC wouldn't have needed to sabotage. The MC accepts defeat. They leave their life and status for the rival to rightfully take over. As Tim is just about to get on a plane and leave the forest, "Tim, wait, don't go," he hears in the distance. It's Connie. "Please don't leave. I love you. As a friend," she says. "But I thought you didn't like me anymore. I mean, I can't even put that many pine cones in my mouth," he says, confused. "But that's not why I love you. I love you for who you are. A kind, generous, caring, and truly good person. Friend." So, as it turns out, it was never really about the pine cones. Aha moment. Something makes the MC realize that their worth isn't decided based on how good they're at the thing, but rather what matters is who they are as a person. Tim stays in the forest. And yes, maybe his cousin is still way better at putting pine cones in his mouth, but now that doesn't bother Tim anymore, because he no longer bases his self-worth on how many pine cones he can put in his mouth. Resolution. The MC has already accepted that while there will always be people that are better than them at everything, that doesn't mean they are any less valuable. So they go back to living their normal life, but now with a more self-loving perspective. And that was one episode Rivals.